Welcome to Sharing with Susan B. Hi and welcome. I'm Susan Blaine and welcome to Sharing with Susan B. I'm here at this beautiful treehouse with Soley Soucie. And this is in a beautiful part of the country here up in Canada, in Quebec, called Val-de-Mont, which is Valley of Mountains.
Yes.
And it's spectacular, and so excited to be here to have this conversation with my good friend Soley. Yeah. Let me share a little bit about Soley. Let's give the, I love this title, okay? Soley Soucie, founder, Dare to Lead trained. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Connector, why seeker, affordable housing advocate, and disruptor. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, me too.
You were born and raised. Let's give a little bit of a backstory, because this is the part that is so interesting in these conversations, is sort of the things that have happened unbeknownst to you and knowingly and intentionally along your path that leads you exactly to where you are now.
Correct.
So you were born and raised in Richmond, Virginia.
Yes.
The city of lovers.
Yeah. The state, Virginia is for lovers.
Virginia for lovers, love that. You dreamed when you were a little girl of being Susan B. Anthony. Now, for those of you that don't know Susan B. Anthony, you should. She was a social reformer, a women's activist in the late 1800s. And it's so cool that you as a little girl played her in a play, and this is what you dreamed to be. I think that says a lot. So keep that in mind as we continue this conversation. Your first job was at Pizza Hut. You were always interested in money, which is interesting. You passed out banking applications. I didn't even know this was a thing. You passed out banking applications, yeah, for 5 years in your teenagehood, and then at university. You went to Queen's, you studied political science. You found it tough getting in, and everybody told you that, but you didn't give up. And you were looking after your neighbor's son, her autistic son, yes. And she helped you get an interview at Scotiabank. And you worked there for 3.5 years. You started off as a teller, then went into wealth management. So you checked that box on your goal list, I guess. And then you went to a firm that was opening up in Ottawa from England, a Fortune 500 company, Hayes Specialist Recruitment. It was their first office in Ottawa. You started off as a recruitment consultant, and then you worked up to the regional director for Eastern Canada. And you and I worked together when you were in that big job. And there was a lot of pressure, but you broke the ceiling, you broke records. You were there for 15 years. You were the first Canadian female to sit on the board of directors. Susan B. Anthony for the win, right? Yes. I love that. Now, you are also a huge advocate, a huge volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. 5+ years, you sit on their executive board. You and I have done a build together. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. Now, you're building your own dream. And I'm so excited to talk to you about that. Yeah. I'm so excited about the work that you're doing. So let's talk about it, because it involves Brene Brown, when you and I are both big fans, and the Treehouse group. So tell us about what has you really fired up about that.
Yeah, like vulnerability is, like, I feel the birthplace of so many things. And my story and all of the things that I've learned, it's like, it was born there. So when I found I did find her in 2013, went to Indigo, got the books like a student, all of them, went home. Paul was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm learning how to be vulnerable and human. And basically, she spoke to me in a way that nobody has ever spoken to me, because it was down to earth, shame, like the muck.
And science, right?
Yeah,
because she's a researcher, and you've got a big brain like that, so you could really relate. I can see how you were attracted to that.
She's done the work. Like, she's researched people for 20 years, and like, she jokes, like, it's not a fun thing to be a shame researcher.
Yeah, her husband must be an angel.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's great. Like, learning her work and then working with her work in my own business transformed the way I live, love, and lead. Like, it really was amazing.
Let's talk about struggle, because it's about your why. Why, the acronym WHY, as I learned from my good friend Tom Lachance, is an acronym for what hurt you, or as my friend Twan Nugent likes to say, what heals you. Both the same thing. And I don't think a lot of us think about that. You know, we hear that tossed around a lot, your why, your why, your why, you know, Simon Sinek talks about that too. And, you know, but the what hurt you, when you really take the time to think about it, because we've all had trauma, right, in our lives, and it's had a huge impact on what we seek, what we do, right? You were diagnosed with CPTSD, which is a complex post-traumatic stress disorder. At 4 years of age, you witnessed abuse, violent abuse, and substance abuse in your home. You witnessed your mother and your brother getting beaten by your father almost to death. I mean, I can only imagine at 4 years old. You were 9 years old when your mom took you and your brother over the border to Canada.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're here.
It was a great thing. Like I like when you cross the border now, any parent that knows if you cross without the other parent, you have to provide a letter. My dad is the reason why we have that, because he sued the United States government to say, how did you let my children cross the border? And I say it with a smile because we're all friends and family now. We're on the other side now, but we joke that it's the only court case he won, actually, out of many years. 15 years in court. It's the old, and so we were on a cruise and we were having, you know, coffee in the morning, and he was like, "Can you believe it? That was the only one." I said, "You know what? That's the one that mattered."
You know what I love about, and I know your brother is really never has recovered from the trauma, and he's lives with bipolar disorder. What I found interesting, and I think has really groomed you into the amazing human being that you are today, is that very young in your years, when you were part of that environment, you saw your father as broken and not a monster, which a lot of people would by default go there. You knew he was orphaned as a child, and so you looked upon him as somebody who was broken. And then as a teenager, you learned that he wasn't your biological father. So another trauma, I'm sure, there as well. You suffered a series of traumas. You know, complex post-traumatic stress disorder is about that, right?
It's a trauma when you're under the age of 7, when the brain is developing. It doesn't allow the brain to develop because you're in fight or flight.
Wow. And then you relived a series of traumas, right? When you became a mother, and you had a court case, you know, and you relived those traumas. We'll talk about the workplace thing in a sec, because it was old school leadership versus servant leadership. You know, it was all about profit, profit, profit. I know about that too. Cost me 2 new hips.
Yeah.
Right? And your trauma is actually physically manifested too during that corporate grind days, where you were, you know, really breaking the mold and doing things your way, which I admired, because you and I were working together, but I saw the struggle, you know, and I saw you were bucking the system at every turn. And that manifested, which took you out. Like my hips.
It sure did.
It manifested, and you had trauma in your throat?
Yeah, so I lost my voice for about 18 months. And before I had 3 surgeries, Dr. Planet from the Montfort went in, and I had an 8mm tumor taking over my entire vocal cord. And if I had waited 3 more months, I would have lost the ability to speak forever.
That would have been a real shame.
Imagine?
No. No.
I talk too much.
Well, you're a disruptor. Plus, you have a lot to say and a lot to give. So you're here for the long run. Let's talk about the lessons from a lot of that. Because the lessons are the tools. They're the things that drive us forward. They're what heals you.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what were the big things that you learned from all that?
Oh, right. Like so many. I think top 2 would be relationships. Relationships matter. Like Kathy Bull, I remember walking and getting the job at the bank and going, "Oh, you proved me wrong." But that lesson has stuck with me. And like people ask me, how did I grow the business? How do I grow others? It's the power of connection, and it's the power of relating, and relationships are worth their weight in gold.
So what do you think, how did the trauma of what you experience sort of guide you in that? Like,
great, yes. Right? Basically, it was like I created a system to survive, and it's like a methodology, and it's like the next, like I think when you think about growth in business or in life, if you systematize things, it typically gets done. Yeah. So I systematized my life in compartments.
Because you needed to survive through all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you brought that forward, and that's helped you thrive professionally and personally. Do it yourself.
Do it yourself. That's what I do. Yeah,
because you didn't have the support. You didn't have the parents.
Correct.
Right? That
they're healing their journey, right?
But they weren't emotionally mature enough at the time to give you what you needed then. But I love that you have beautiful relationships with them today, and that says a lot, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, learn that people make mistakes, and it's okay. Like, we all make mistakes, and that was the thing that got me with Brene, was that to struggle is human. Yeah, to struggle is human, and we're hardwired for story and struggle, and it's empowering when you can speak it and live it. It's hard.
It's hard. It's hard to be dare to be vulnerable. It's hard to be vulnerable, but there's a lot of power in vulnerability. I love that you say that CPTSD, got to get that right, is your superpower.
It is. It absolutely is, because for so long I would be alone thinking it was a curse and pray for everything to go away. But as you sit back and you look at it, all of the things that I learned in my little toolboxes, we say, have helped me, like, to build the confidence, to teach others, to show people. It is scary to climb the ladder, but it's okay. It's normal. Everybody around the table is the same. We all have imposter syndrome. We all have trauma, and we are all trying to do our best, really.
And that's the work that you're doing now, is helping people get there, right?
Bingo.
Step up, leadership, dare to lead, right, with vulnerability. I think it's amazing that you are right now the only person that has this Brene Brown training in Ottawa.
In Ottawa, yeah, the certification. Like, it's becoming, obviously with the pandemic, it's hard to get certified. At first, she wanted psychologists, obviously, because the work is really tough. And if you're advising corporations, not-for-profits, it's not as easy as just going in and doing a worksheet. Like, it really is being able to sit in that uncomfortable moment for a couple seconds longer for somebody to spill the beans on what's really happening.
Wow, and then you're cracked wide open. You have no idea the power that vulnerability has. I like to use the word magic.
It is.
It really is.
It is. It's the sauce. Like, if you look at Jack Welch said it, right? Like, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. He said it. I love Jack Welch. And it's like, it's true. Culture is that passion. It's that camaraderie. It's like what you see in the military. No man left behind.
Yeah. That's why we are tribe. We are building, so come join us. Vulnerability is power. Come to one of Soley's sessions. She'll help you out.
We need more daring leaders.
And you have plans for this place too.
I do, yeah. I want to create retreats here for people to come and step aside from their life, because you can't grow unless you reflect.
No.
And it's a big part of the journey, is the reflection. As much as it is the doing, a lot of it is the reflection and learning.
Well, part of the doing is reflecting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the tough work that nobody wants. No. Everybody wants to escape from that crap.
Yeah.
But you have to sit in the muck. My favorite Joel Osteen saying is, you got to sit in the manure. Nobody wants to sit there. It stinks like shit. And nobody wants to be there. They want to be as far from that. But guess what manure is?
It's the best place to grow.
Fertilizer. Right?
It is.
Like, think about it. I love that symbolism.
It is so true.
So what advice, Soley, would you give your younger self?
Oh, gosh.
I wrote something down here, but I don't.
It's so funny. Like, I would say, it's funny because part of me wants to be like, just take the chance. But the real advice would be that it's going to be okay, that you're okay, and that to relax and you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay, and it's gonna be okay.
I think you also said just fucking do it.
Just fucking do it. When we did our storyboard,
I had to get it out.
And that's Dan Martell, JFD. Just fucking do it. Just do it. Just do it. Don't to start is the battle, right? Like that's this people don't realize you don't need $1 million to start a company. You just need to start one step.
Yeah, and with good intentions.
Without a doubt.
Right? Like I always say to people that sit down and have these conversations with me, it's not about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about sharing.
It is.
Right? Sharing our stories.
And that's
in hopes that somebody listening to us right now can relate and doesn't feel so alone.
Yes.
And is inspired to be more, and heals, especially during these times.
Correct.
So important. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, all you ever wanted to know about Soley Soucie. Here we go.
Even I know.
Some of these I got off of Facebook. There's some fun posts going around. And then some from my original series, which I just love. So, who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, Baymax from Big Hero 6. He's this big. Do you know Baymax?
No.
He's like a white marshmallow AI guy that somebody created.
And why is he why?
Because he heals people. Oh, okay. He's a support.
Oh, I gotta watch him.
Oh, you do? Baymax.
Do you make your bed every day?
50-50.
50-50. Favorite food indulgence?
Boston cream donut, that custard. The pie lady will know my custard craving. I'm from the South. You can't get custard up north.
I made her a custard pie recently.
Yeah.
Do you think aliens are real?
I love this. So I don't know. My husband makes me watch a lot of Greg Braden, Ancient Aliens. Maybe.
All right. So you're maybe on that. Can you drive a stick shift?
Sure can. Right, my daddy taught me well. If you got to get out of a situation. And I use the analogy of a standard car for leadership. That it's the perfect amount of pressure with the perfect amount of motivation. That stick shift. It's that like if you know how to drive a stick, it's that.
Oh yeah.
Can't go all one.
Especially when you're going uphill, baby.
Right. So it's like you got to motivate, but you got to pressure. That's secret.
I like that. That's going to be a new good analogy I'm going to use. Do you talk to yourself?
Oh yeah. And I do, and I pray. I talk to my angels. I have angels. Of course, that's how I've made it.
It's a sign of intelligence, I've heard. That's my story.
I'm really smart. I talk a lot.
Any tattoos?
I do. I have a sun on my lower back.
I did not know that.
I got on Toonie Tuesday at Queen's, and I didn't pay a toonie for it.
I love it. Favorite kind of music?
Oh, I love all music. I think a ballad, I love a good ballad, it could be any genre, but I do love a good love ballad.
Favorite quote I'm going to ask you.
Oh, this is a hard one for me because I have two, but definitely the Man in the Arena speech, Daring Greatly, Theodore Roosevelt, that is an amazing speech. I will not say it now, but it's fantastic. As well as Maya Angelou's, people will not remember what you say. They will not remember definitely what you did. I promise you that. In recruitment, they will not remember what you did, but they will always, always remember how you made them feel.
Amen. That's so true. Finally, what's something that always makes you smile?
I think the right answer, everybody probably thinks, is your family. Of course they make me smile. The ocean, swimming in general, but definitely being in the ocean. I was in Myrtle Beach for 4 days, and it took me a lot to leave.
Yeah, there is something about that.
Yeah, I love the ocean.
Check Soley Soucie out on social media. She is everywhere. She's one of my favorite people to follow. I love her Instagram stories. She's got the best music. And she's really got some exciting stuff going on. So check her out. Her posts are informative, authentic, inspiring.
Quirky.
Quirky, real, man. They're real. And you can connect with her on LinkedIn, Instagram, of course, Facebook, and TikTok with Soley Soucie and the Treehouse group. So there's going to be a link on the post, and you can click on that, and you can see all her social media handles and join in on the fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is so much,
good. 30 years in the making.
Woo!